Which of the following best summarizes the author's main point? Okay, so it's a main point, conclusion, summary type of a question. Okay, the author is saying something. We need to understand what is in one sentence. What's the conclusion? Okay, Johnson is on firm ground when he asserts that. So this Johnson is saying something. Let's say he's saying this. Okay, this that indicates that that is his assertion. Assertion basically means Johnson is saying something. Okay, he believes that, and he's on firm ground. That's what the author is saying. Okay, that means what do you mean by firm ground? Basically, the author says that Johnson is saying something very logical. Okay, he's on firm ground. There is enough evidence to believe that. Okay, the argument that Johnson is making is very logical. Okay, what is that argument? Johnson says that the early editors of Dickinson's poetry often distorted her intentions. Okay, so there is this person Dickinson, Emily Dickinson. You don't need to know that, but yeah, Emily Dickinson is a famous poet. So she had written, she had some intentions. Okay, the early editors of her poetry distorted that. Okay, so she wanted to say X, but the editors, okay, said that no, it's not X, it's Y. Okay, for some reason they changed it. Okay, that's what Johnson is saying, and the author agrees. Okay, yet still more information. Now this is from the author's point of view. Yet Johnson's own more faithful. So Johnson's work is more faithful. Yes, that means early editors did, let's say, 10% good job. Johnson is doing more than 10% good job. It's a better job. Okay, of editing Emily Dickinson's poems. Okay, yet Johnson's own more faithful text is still guilty of its own forms of distortion. So yes, Johnson corrected a lot of those distortions, but Johnson's work is still not correct. There are a lot of distortions that he has also done. Now, most likely the author is going to explain what the author, why the author is saying this. That most likely is going to come here, and it looks like this is the main conclusion, right? Let's still not form that idea. Okay, it looks like that right now. Okay, but let's still go to the whole argument, and then we'll look at the conclusion. To standardize Dickinson's often indecipherable handwritten punctuation by the use of the dash is to render permanent a casual mode of poetic phrasing that Dickinson surely never expected to see in print. Okay, this is pretty tough to interpret. Okay, so this is a tough question, no doubt. Why is this tough? We will see that the language here is not very easy to understand. Okay, so let's split this. To standardize Dickinson's often indecipherable handwritten punctuation by the use of a dash. Okay, Emily Dickinson used to do handwritten stuff, right? And her punctuation was indecipherable because it was handwritten, so illegible basically. Okay, and Johnson standardized that into a dash. Okay, so if there was something like this, or maybe like this, whatever, I don't know how she would have written it. Okay, but then Johnson is saying this is not indecipherable, let's standardize everything into a dash. That's probably what she meant. Okay, that's how Johnson is committing his own form of distortion. That's what the author is saying. To standardize Dickinson's often indecipherable handwritten punctuation by the use of dash is to render permanent. Okay, that means if you do that, what you are doing is you are making something permanent. What is that? You are making something permanent? A casual mode of poetic phrasing that Dickinson surely never expected to see in print. So basically what the author is saying is that, okay, Dickinson never expected some of these punctuation, poetic phrasing to be in print. So she was very casual about it. So this is what Dickinson actually was. And what Johnson has done is that he has standardized everything. Okay, this is what Johnson has done into a dash, right? Which is not the true intention. That's why Johnson's work is guilty of its own distortion. Okay, but other editors have done even worse job. Okay, that's what the author is saying. The author definitely blames Johnson for distortion, although not to the degree that The author blames the other guys. Okay, fine. So this is really critical to understand. Okay, it implies that Dickinson chose the dash as her typical mark of punctuation. Okay, so Dickinson was using dash as sort of her own mark, when in fact she apparently never made any definitive choice at all. So she really didn't mean to use dash as it was supposed to be used. Okay, she was just casually using it, and Johnson is saying no, everywhere there's a dash. Okay, and that's how he is creating a different meaning out of the dash that probably Dickinson did not want. That's what the author is saying. Okay, it's little tough. I hope if you split the sentence appropriately, you will be able to see the logic, right? The conclusion, again, as I had anticipated, this is what the author is mainly trying to say. The author is in one sentence, always approach conclusion statements in one sentence. So one sentence the author is saying is that Johnson, you did a fine job, better job than other editors, but you still have your own problems in your editing. Okay, what are those problems? Dickinson didn't really want the dash to be used. She was using it very casually, but you are thinking she used it systematically, you're standardizing it, so that way you're doing something wrong. Okay, so the main point is, Johnson, your work is not perfect, or something like that. I'm intentionally using very casual language so that it's easy to understand. Okay, obviously GMAT will never use a language like a spoken language. Okay, but having that thing in our mind helps, because there are 5 answer choices. Obviously all of them are going to be confusing, right? So we should be looking at something very, very clear. Okay, let's look at A. Although Johnson is right in criticizing Dickinson's early editors. Okay, is Johnson criticizing? Yes, early editors often distorted. Okay, he's criticizing, so that's fine. You can keep checking all these references. Okay, that makes it very easy. Okay, although Johnson is right in criticizing early editors for the distortion of work, his own text is guilty of equally serious distortions. Okay, this is a very good answer choice. Very, very good answer choice. The only problem here is that equally good. Okay, do we have any basis here? Yes, the author is blaming Johnson, but she still thinks that his work is more faithful. So she probably blames Johnson less than she would blame other editors. Okay, so she's not thinking that Johnson is equally serious distortion. Okay, so that doesn't go. So you have to be very, very picky about all these terms. Okay, so that doesn't make sense. Otherwise, it's a very, very good answer choice. Okay, Johnson's use of dash in the text of Dickinson's poetry misleads readers about poet's intentions. Yeah. Okay, Johnson, you're standardizing dash. Dickinson probably didn't want the dash, so you are distorting the intention of the poet, misleading the readers. Yes. Okay, so it's a good answer choice. Let's keep this. Okay, there is no word here that's not supported. Like here, there was this word equally serious that was not supported, right? There's no word here that you're able to eliminate. Okay, so that means this is as good an answer choice as it can get. Okay, let's still move on. Because Dickinson never expected her poetry to be published. Okay, now this part is referred to. For example, here Dickinson surely never expected to see in print. Okay, but what is that? Is this the whole poetry? No, the casual mode of poetic phrasing. So Dickinson probably thought that this casual phrasing will never be printed. Dickinson didn't think that entire poetry would never be published. Okay, that's one thing. Okay. Also, this cause-effect relationship, I'm not sure if that is given. Okay, let's still read it. Okay, this because of A, B is happening. Okay, that B and A connection is probably not made here. Okay, because no such sort of connection is made here. But let's still move on. The B part, that is the effect part, would be virtually any attempt at editing must run counter to her intention. So basically what she's the answer choice C is saying that, okay, no matter what you do, no matter how you try to edit it, it's going to be different from what Dickinson originally intended. Okay, that's because of this. Okay, it's not supported. Okay, this is extreme language. Any attempt will run counter. No, she's not saying any attempt will run counter. She's just saying that editors, you didn't do a good job. Johnson did a better job, but Johnson's job is also not perfect. But the author is not saying that no one else can do a better job, or no one else can actually know the intentions of Dickinson. Nothing of that sort is being said. Okay, so this also doesn't go, right? See, I'm trying to split the whole answer choices, into pieces. For example, like I did here. See, that's the key to GMAT. You need to really understand, what's the main thought, how are the smaller pieces of the thought, how are they connected, right? Okay, let's move on. Although Johnson's attempt, whenever I see although, I just split it like this till the comma. Okay, so that which makes it easy. Although A, B. Okay, now let me understand A and B separately. Although Johnson's attempt to produce a more faithful text is well-meaning. Okay, is this well-meaning? It's not explicitly stated, but more faithful could be well-meaning, maybe. Okay, although there is no direct correlation. Okay, still let's accept this. Maybe this is true. Although that is true, his study of material lacks sufficient thoroughness. Okay, although Johnson, you are doing a well-meaning job, your work is more fruitful, more faithful, but your study lacks thoroughness. You probably didn't study what is thoroughness, completeness. You probably didn't study all the points, or maybe you didn't study all the aspects. Okay, something like that. The author is saying no, or the author is not saying anything of this sort. Okay, she is definitely, the author is blaming Johnson for his own distortion, but not saying that it's not complete or anything. Okay, again the keyword here is thoroughness. So this is out. Dickinson's editors, including Johnson's, have failed. Okay, failed, yes, in some sense they have failed. That's what the author says. Failed to deal adequately with the problem of deciphering Dickinson's handwritten manuscripts. Okay, now this is a very good answer choice again. Okay, Dickinson editors, including Johnson, have failed to deal adequately with the problem. Okay, but is that the main point? Yes, editors are failing. Johnson did a better job. But Johnson is also failing. This is consistent with the passage. Yes, it is consistent with the passage in the sense that if the passage is true, we can more or less say that this is also true. Okay, that way it is consistent with the passage. But is that the main point? That's not the main point. The main point is this. Johnson, you did a better job, but yes, you also have your own distortion. Okay, that's not getting captured here. So this would be the second best answer choice, although that is still wrong. The best answer choice would be B. Again, this is a tough question. The If you didn't get this right, that's okay. But try to understand how you can approach the tough questions. One sort of trick that we used here is zero in on some specific words and eliminate answer choices based on that. That's a very useful trick. Okay, so try to follow that in all questions, not only tough questions but all questions. All right, see you.